I love you guys. I love all you guys.
Wait.
And I love Venkman. Wow. We gotta live with this? Real friendship.
We're ready to believe you.
All right, we're back with another episode of Ready to Believe. I'm Jamie Pale Rider.
I'm Rob Williams.
And today we're doing something a little bit different, mostly in honor of Men's Mental Health Month. I wanted to get together with Rob and talk a little bit about it. We're both men, and we're of the Gen X persuasion. If you listen to our podcast, Generation X-Wing, we're all Gen Xers. I talk occasionally about being raised by boomers, and it's definitely that it's that Gen X experience,
Definitely,
and how that pertains to men's mental health. But also, maybe you're wondering how this is kind of related to Ghostbusters. We'll get into it.
This is an intervention, isn't it?
Yes,
You're going to start bringing
Rob,
in other people here.
Yeah, I'm going to slowly start adding people.
Steve, what are you doing here? Mom? Dad?
Rob, we love you. Yeah. No, this is not an intervention. At least not for Rob. Rob has not spilled the beans whether it's an intervention for me or not. I would not be surprised one way or the other.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah, no, it is Mental Men's Month, which is probably also the case, but geez, Men's Mental Health Month. Yeah, we're off to a sparkling start. Yeah, I'm not just a spokesperson, I'm a member. Yeah. And just, I've been reading articles like CBC had we're in Canada, so CBC is a thing. CBC posted a really good article about men's mental health and studies, but like basically the results of the study were, men over the age of like 40 or whatever mentally are not okay. And I was like, yeah, no shit.
No kidding.
Thanks for that scientific study. But at least like awareness is happening. Like there's things like Movember that are happening now, and it's nice to see men's mental health kind of get a bit of a spotlight shone on it, because as Gen Xers, we're always told by our parents, as men, like, if you're not okay mentally, if you're sad, if you're depressed, if you're angry, suck it up. Just
nobody wants to hear your problems.
Yeah, tough it out, be a man, and move past it. And like that's really not the way to address that kind of situation, but it's the way we were raised. And I'm sure it's the way a lot of people are still being raised today. And not just men, mind you, either, but just in honor of Men's Mental Health Month. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this a little bit today. I feel like it's an important topic. But why Ready to Believe and why Ghostbusters? As I was reading these articles, I remembered back, kind of before I really jumped back in with both feet into the Ghostbusters fandom, but there was a time where I was in kind of a bad spot mentally, and basically I don't know why I chose Ghostbusters. I had not at that point seen the first Ghostbusters movie in a very long time. At least 10 years. And this kind of like catapulted things and got me kind of back into it. But I was watching it by myself. Again, I don't know why I fired it up, because at that time, like, Star Wars was my thing. And like that was my escape, my way to just unwind, relax. But I fired up Ghostbusters. And I'm sitting there by myself and I'm laughing out loud. I'd not seen the movie in a long time. I was laughing out loud by myself in my apartment, and I'm not saying it cured my mental health issues or anything like that, but it put me in a spot where I felt like I could more easily tackle things. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where Ghostbusters comes into play. It's that movie that for a long time has been there for me, and has, again, I'm not saying it's going to cure anything for anybody, but it helps. And it's like we're doing now, like working with the BC Ghostbusters and the Ghostbusters clubs worldwide, and just our friends locally. It kind of that's one thing that I wanted to talk to you specifically today about, is having that place where people can go, like a social club, basically, where it's not necessarily your family, it's not your co-workers, it's that third kind of option or third location, or your third kind of group of people that you associate with, where it really is like it's a shared interest group. And
Anil calls it the tribe.
Yes, and I wanted to bring that up specifically. So I'm happy you brought that up. Our friend Anil, who we've worked with for many years on our podcast, always said, find your tribe.
Yeah. And
that, as I was thinking this episode through today, that stuck out to me. It is like that, finding your tribe is really important. Not only just, in terms of general happiness and whatnot, but also for mental health. You become close to people that you grow to trust, and maybe they're people you can talk to about this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be a substitute for a professional mental health practitioner.
Yeah.
But it is a really good starting point.
Yeah.
I'm very happy you brought up Anil. But yeah, like, it's just, this doesn't need to be a long-winded talk or anything like that, but I felt like it was important to talk about. And if you're listening, if you're watching, I hope if you are going through something, like I don't want to say almost everybody's going through something, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I hope that, you have someone to talk to, that if maybe you have benefits through work that give you access to mental health practitioners, use those benefits. They're there for a reason. Like everybody, not just men, obviously, but I feel like men are probably, there's more of a stigma associated with, getting help and not just bottling something up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. Like, we still see things. I remember, what was it, around when Scott was born? It was social media, and there were people talking about Hugh Jackman, and he had his baby in his little, I can't remember what you call it. God damn, I had one. It's like a little pouch that you carry in front, and he was carrying it around, and it was freaking Piers Morgan. And Piers Morgan,
it's toxic.
Say no more, but it's just like Piers Morgan was challenging his masculinity because he was carrying his son in his carrying case and on his chest. Whatever you call it. It's gonna kill me. I can't remember. And I was literally with Scott with one of mine when I saw that. I'm like, fuck you. But I'm like, you challenging my masculinity because also, I'm sharing love to my son.
What a weird take to challenge Hugh Jackman's masculinity. That guy is like the picture of masculinity.
Yeah. I mean, it's all
about.
Then
he does musicals and takes care of his kid and things like he's such a multi-talented dude. But you watch him as Wolverine, and he's like the textbook definition of masculine.
I was watching an old video just today. I was watching a Clint Eastwood movie. First of all, we want to talk about masculinity. I mean, Clint Eastwood is the Dirty Harry and all this stuff. It was a movie with Jeff Bridges and Clint Eastwood. It was called Lightfoot, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. I don't know how I got onto this movie, just out of the blue. And I was like, oh, Jeff Bridges. And I wanted to watch some old stuff. And it was an old TV show he was on with his dad. If you remember,
Beau Bridges. Or wait, Beau's his brother.
Yeah, Beau's his brother.
Lloyd
Bridges from Airplane fame. But he did a TV show where he was this deep sea diver. And it was Jeff Bridges' first TV show with his dad on there. And so Bridges, Lloyd Bridges is wandering around in a Speedo and a tank, bare chested, just all he was in a Speedo. And it was a typical 60s, 50s show. And I'm looking at this, and it was kind of goofy and kind of whatever it was. And there's Bridges acting with Bridges. And he's walking around, and he's doing his karate chops or something like that. And on the YouTube comments below, it's just like, that it was like, that's a true man right there. And I'm like, really, this is what we got here. It's just like everybody's trying to evaluate what is true masculinity, and it's back then. That's when men were men, and it's just like, okay, well, they were men. Congratulations.
Died at the ripe old age of 45 because of undiagnosed cardiovascular issues.
But he was a man because he was just walk around butch and it was just like I kind of get sick of hearing that. And I mean, I don't know if
it's regressive. It's regressive kind of talk, right? Like I feel like it holds back people from maybe being who they really are. I don't know.
It's okay. I show my son so much love and care, and I don't give a shit what other people say, because he is a happy kid. From as far as I know so far, he's a pretty happy kid. Obviously, and he talks to me about things, and awesome. I'm able. Dude, I can't tell you as a teenager talking to you about things. It's just like the fact he talks to me at all and wants to hang around with me still at times as a teenager. I know it's not going to last long. But that's just
pretty
like,
cool, though.
He still connects, and that's all I want. I just want him to connect.
You're instilling that kind of that mentality of talking to your dad. Yeah. If you're not sure about something or if something's wrong, that's great.
Yeah, and I want to be there. My dad my dad's a good dad. My dad's a great dad, but he was raised just like most other baby boomers by the silent
greatest generation.
The greatest generation. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, but it's just the boomers came after that, right?
The ones who went for the war.
Yeah,
and the first war and the second war, and it was just like, dude, their life was taken away from them at an early age. Yeah, because of everything, and so that they bring that to their family, and my dad worked really hard to make his family happy. But I remember my grandparents and how strict they were, and don't hug, don't kiss, don't do anything like that. You don't talk about, don't cry. Mm-hmm. And it was just like they both died at an early age. All things considered now, I mean, it was still, obviously smoking had a lot to do with it back in the day. And the diet.
What do you mean? The Surgeon General says smoking is good for you. Look, they're smoking all over the place.
Fred Flintstone said it's okay.
Yeah.
It's his choice. But it was just and I know you're probably going to talk about heart disease and stuff, but it was a different generation. I'm kind of glad I'm bucking that trend. I'm glad my dad started to buck that trend too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to bring up, because this is, as I was again preparing for this and writing notes, recently I had watched Bill Burr's new comedy special, The Drop Dead Years. Holy cow, does he ever get into it about mental health, about bottling things up, about just sharing or like talking through your feelings and emotions and things like that in very Bill Burr fashion. But it was really good. Like, he was very candid about his own issues and the difficulties surrounding just getting people to talk about it and recognize that this is a real thing. It was really good. I highly recommend you go watch it if you like his comedy.
His upbringing was crazy.
Yeah,
the fact, I just learned within the last year, him and Billy Corgan are related.
Oh, really?
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
They have the same dad.
Oh, geez,
okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So basically, both Bills had the same dad, who had different wives, and it was quite scandalous. But I just learned this because they had known this for a while, but they kept it quiet, and it was always talked about within the last few years, until friggin' Howie Mandel, that prick monster, he brought him on the show. Bill Burr's a regular on his show, and brought Billy Corgan, didn't tell Bill Burr, and then says, okay, it's family reunion, let's talk about it.
Sprung it on him.
I will never lost all respect for Howie Mandel.
Yeah,
but they were talking. He was like, I guess we're talking about this now, and they talked to each other, and it was just very awkward discussion.
Well, I mean, I can't see Bill Burr being super, like, he seems pretty unafraid to talk about stuff.
Yeah,
in any setting. like he's reached that point in his career, which I sincerely appreciate, where he's just no filter.
Yeah.
And
you still have to have respect for the situation.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying what Howie Mandel did was okay.
Corrigan and Burr looked completely awkward. Like I thought
they just got ambushed.
I thought knew we were going to talk about this, and it was just like listening to Billy Corrigan talk about his dad in the past, and it's just like he was a mean son of a bitch. He was jealous of his son's success and stuff, and it's just like. And it's just so weird to hear their story. And so Bill's obviously taking it, and the concept of Drop Dead Years is a brilliant title. Brilliant title.
It's absolutely related to all of what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
It's such a brilliant stand-up. I'm a huge stand-up comedy fan, and he's one of the best there is.
Yeah.
And his stuff just keeps getting better and better. And he clearly a lot of comics, he's been through some shit, and that kind of is funneled or fuels his comedy.
Yeah.
And he's really getting quite real and quite personal in his stand-ups, and I appreciate the hell out of it.
So you're saying bring it back to Ghostbusters. And I can probably relate to this, like the idea of just finding a tribe, but also finding some sort of, I don't want to say purpose, but at least some activity or some direction to
it's that
go.
idea of the third, like outside of your home, like your family and your work and co-workers, having that third, like you think of kind of older notions of like the social clubs, like the Shriners or like
water buffaloes.
Yeah, the water buffaloes, exactly, or the stonemasons.
Yeah, Homer's Club.
It's yeah, exactly. Or just like the older notion of the fellas are going bowling, like they have league night every week or whatever, right? Like just that place to hang out and be social with other people and maybe grow to trust. Like you and I feel like are very lucky with the 501st. Like that's such a great kind of starting point. And it's kind of an easier one to break into in terms of getting involved and meeting people and just being exposed to that larger group of people.
Yeah.
And like the Ghostbusters is something else as well. Like it's that common interest, the common fandom that brings people together. Like that kind of stuff is brilliant.
Yeah. The 501st, when I was going to do a future episode on this one where I was going to go back and watch my very first initial meeting with Terry and the gang for the podcast. So that's coming up soon. But meeting them and just like the podcast alone, when it first started with Anil and Bulent and then Josh joined, it was great to get out and do something. I was married at the time. Scott was not born yet, but it was on the way, was soon to be on the way. We're trying to have kids, and that was a challenge in itself. And then but I still connected with those guys, and it was fun to just get out once a week or once every 2 weeks and just talk about movies, just bullshit our way onto a microphone with who cares who listens. And then eventually when I met Terry and learned about the 501st, I'm like, I like this. This is, I immediately attached to the idea of, I want to try and do this. It sounds like a life, like a childhood dream to build a costume and do this. And right about then, my marriage started to fall apart. And it was all, everything was pretty much copacetic. I mean, there was nothing bad. If you're going to get a divorce, the way we got a divorce is pretty damn good. So everything was good, but it's tough. When you have a kid now, and now you're going to be a single dad, and failure sets in. Absolute failure. You did not succeed in the marriage part. You fail. And now this is going to affect your son, and this is going to affect the rest of your life, and fail. And then after that, some more situations came, and I felt even more like a failure. But and trying to become a 501st member became like, I really want to do this, but now I'm having zero time to actually put things together. It's why it became a 3-year process instead of just a few months. and it was a struggle. But eventually, you know, when I started putting this costume together with the help of people like you and Terry, especially Terry helping me out through this, and Steve 3 and Hose Nose was there in the background, Aaron was there in the background. It was just like, it became like, when I finally got it built and finally got to troop, it became very real. Like, I felt a little bit, I don't want to say saved, but I felt accomplished. I felt like I didn't feel like a failure anymore. And now I can actually do some good with this. And things started to turn around a little bit more. And I started becoming more active with the 501st and becoming more active as social media. And it just going out to troops and just connecting with kids and helping parents and just raising friggin' thousands upon thousands of dollars that felt good, that it was going to do some good. I found a tribe. I started making strong connections with you guys. And you know, obviously the podcast has changed over time, but still, we've become, I feel, very strong, and it's been helpful. It's been extremely helpful, and I look forward to our times. Just even during COVID times, like, oh yeah, like that's a time where it was struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, that created a very lonely situation for a lot of people, right?
I don't like big crowds. Over time, I became comfortable with COVID, and I was okay with it. I was okay not going out to large places anymore. I find that at school, I am bombarded with noise, with volume, with
I can't imagine
with
being a teacher.
1,000 questions, with 1,000 issues, with 1,000 water bottles hitting the floor. It's just like constant. What do you call it? Just your body's. I can't remember the right word. If you talked to me yesterday, I would have said it properly. But just all this stimulation was happening, and so when I go home. Sometimes when my son's there, when he's not here, and there's nothing, just quiet. I don't want to go out. I don't want to do things. I just want quiet, and maybe listen to some music, maybe listen to a podcast. But at the same time, it's just like no more stimulation, please. And I find, like, I have my lunches in my room. It's quiet, and I'm trying to find these things. Bringing it back to what you're talking about, trying to find these things where I'm not losing my shit. And that mental health is extremely important to me. Find those moments just to breathe, calm down. We have this amazing counselor at our school, and it's a Wellness Wednesday, and every Wednesday she's teaching the kids on certain breathing techniques to help them out. Like, let's take a moment to talk about things that you're happy about, and it's just like, breathe in, breathe out. And I know that my parents or anybody else of the generation is like friggin' charm school, pussifying the kid. My parents wouldn't say this, but that generation, pussifying the kids, like talking about your feelings, breathing
talking about
in,
that touchy-feely crap,
yoga bullshit. Yeah. It's like, dude, you should try just the breathing part alone. It will help you. Yeah. And it's just like,
when you're talking about the breathing, you're talking about like box breathing, that kind of thing?
There's box breathing, there's this, and there's like 5 things, the high five, 5 things that you see, 4 things that you hear, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can see, or something like. I forgot it, but I adjust it to however it works. Last one's always one thing you can taste, because you can't go around licking the tables. And it's just
you can.
Yes, technically you can. As a teacher, I could survive an atomic blast.
Could you listen to a table? Bringing it back to Ghostbusters.
I've listened to so many tables. It's just, but it's just like we find these things to help bring us back to some grounding source. And whether it's in finding like our tribe, watching a movie, just separating yourself. Yeah. But some people are a little more out there. We have friends. I think like Steve 3, he's more of a shake those hands kind of guy. He finds his. I sense he's a person who really enjoys connecting with people.
I'm envious of people like that. Because
me too.
That is not me.
But then again, I'm not so much. I kind of like not having to shake all the hands.
Yeah.
But I like live streaming. I like going on playing a video game and just live streaming, connecting some way there. But then there's a time where it's just like, I just want to be alone. I just want to be quiet.
Well, it is like you talk about Steve 3 being outgoing and shaking hands and whatnot. But I feel like there's something there for everyone, and it's mostly just, like when you have friends, like it's important, like hug your friends.
Mhm.
That's one thing that I noticed about the 501st and with the Ghostbusters now too, is that just seems to be the norm, which is
Yeah.
kind of nice. And like, obviously, don't do it to a stranger or someone you just met until you kind of feel out, where their boundaries are and whatnot. But yeah, that was something that kind of came naturally as I joined like the various costuming clubs, and it just kind of started happening without me really realizing. I feel like that's really important.
I'm not a touchy-feely guy, unless it was the person I'm very close to.
I'm
my
not
friends,
either.
My friends and family, I'll definitely hug. I'll give a kiss. If I had a partner, I'm very connecting that way. But I don't like being touched by strangers. I don't like being tugged by strangers. I'll shake a hand. That's fine. I got to be prepared for the handshake though, because I'm very self-conscious about the handshake. My Uncle Bud taught me to shake the hand like you're trying to strangle something, but it was just like good handshake. I'm very conscious about that, but it's just like some people are very huggy, and that's great for them. But I'm just like,
it was funny. I like kind of relating to that a little bit. Like I'd gone to a Canucks game this year.
Oh, really?
With one of my friends. Occasionally, I get to go. I'll maybe make it to one every couple of years. The tickets are expensive.
Oh yeah.
But it was funny because we know someone who works for the Canucks.
Mm-hmm.
So went and saw him, which was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But then also I was at the game and I just saw Walt out of nowhere. And Walt
was there? That's awesome.
For context, for anybody who doesn't know Walt's one of the most outgoing people I've ever met.
That dude loves
everybody's
everybody.
friend.
Yeah.
He works like he's such a nice outgoing guy. He's instant best friends with anybody. Like Steve 3, really. Like just that very, very personable, outgoing kind of that mentality. And I saw him and I immediately just give him a big hug and whatnot. And my friend who was with me, who isn't part of the clubs, is like, "You're kind of like a social butterfly." Like, well, like not really. I just kind of
Jamie's climbing people on the side of the street there every 5 seconds. Hey, Bill, Tom, Mary.
Yeah, it's that difference between the specific friend groups and like people with different personalities, but also like in the costuming clubs, that sense of camaraderie kind of brings that on a little bit. And it just I had the same reaction you did just there, and I just started laughing my head off. And just like, I didn't think it was that funny, but
everybody knows Walt. I've been on a date one time and somebody mentioned Walt out of the blue. I know this guy. He's a firefighter, has an R2D2. Is his name Walt? He goes, yes. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Walt knows everybody.
He does. So. He knows. Really does know everybody.
I've been to a restaurant and it's just like, when this guy came in, he was a firefighter, had an R2D2, and it was just like, yeah, that's Walt. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I can't eat anywhere.
It was so funny. Yeah, I don't run into many people out and about that I know, but it was funny seeing Walt there out of nowhere.
I am, like you mentioned this, it's like we all know those people who are very outgoing, and I really admire that. And I sometimes sit there and and this is where now we start taking it upon ourselves as more, I guess I'm going to speak for myself as more of an introvert type of person. I sit there, I'm like, I'm a little bit jealous. That
me too.
I could say I'm a little bit jealous that I'm not as outgoing as these people. I'm a little bit jealous I'm not as talented. I mean, I'm going to show this again. Like I'm building this AT-AT driver chess box. I'm a little bit jealous that I can't build as good as these person or that person. I'm a little bit jealous that I can't podcast as well as this. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm finding all the friggin' faults in myself, in all the positive attributes in everybody else, and and that's where I get.
It's hard.
It is extremely hard, and I get get so angry at myself just for that.
It's one of the reasons I removed myself from social media, is I found myself doing that. Well, imposter syndrome, and you start comparing your life that intimately to someone's life of whatever someone chooses to put on social media, which is only going to be the best things.
Social
typically
media is so,
and social media is really hard. on a person's mental health.
Mel Robbins. When I was going through some tough times, I would start listening to Mel Robbins. Very inspirational speaker, focused on her philosophy of the 5-second rule. Basically, she was fighting depression, trying to get herself out of bed, and just summarize the idea of the 5-second rule is you make a decision within 5 seconds, or you're not going to make that decision at all. And you have to motivate yourself. Just do it. You got 5 seconds to do it. Count down. And if you don't do it, you're never going to do it. And so, and she also talked about how to just change the attitude, improve yourself, whatever. So very inspirational speaker. But one of the things that she mentioned, like when I was trying to take this program, I was with my girlfriend at the time, and she got me onto Mel Robbins, and there was this program that she started and she wanted me to join. So I did. And I one of the things that she mentioned, Mel Robbins mentioned, was in the morning, do not open your phone and check social media. You got to check the time. Great. You know, but do not check social media. Don't go on Instagram. Don't go on Facebook, because what's happening is you wake up and the first thing you do is you're showing yourself all the things you can't do, or all the great things that people have done before you've even woken up. Look how fantastic this person's doing. Look where this person's traveled. Look how great he looks or she looks. And look at all this stuff that you can't do, which they're fucking lying about. They're not giving you the whole truth. No, social media is not completely truthful. We don't share all the crappy stuff. Some people do, but that's beside the point. I mean, it's just like, so now you started your day off by putting yourself at a lower step on the stairwell, and it's just like, now you have to spend your day either trying to achieve whatever all these other people have already achieved, and knowing that
measuring
you won't
yourself
do that.
up to impossible standards.
Yeah,
that
and
someone
it's
is
just like, why are you starting your day off like that? Just
that's hard.
Grab a cup of tea, have a breakfast, listen to some music. You know, just
I gotta say, like, getting off of social media was almost an immediate improvement in my mental health.
So, what do you go on? Because I mean, you send me these videos and stuff, which are usually great videos.
So no Facebook. None of that stuff. I do use Instagram, and I mostly got on Instagram because my friend wanted to send me funny things. And he's like, it's so much easier if you're just on Instagram. Just join Instagram, please. I'm like, fine. So I did. And now that's what I use it for too. I just use it for sending funny things to people.
But how do you navigate and find those funny things? How do you do that?
It's just stuff like channels that I follow that make, funny memes and whatever. That's it.
And the algorithm.
Like, I don't follow a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that I don't care what my friends are up to. I would just rather hear it from them in person. But so I don't follow people. I follow accounts that make funny things or things that I'm interested in. Like I follow the official Star Wars account, the official Ghostbusters account, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Ghostbusters news, tools, and talent. But yeah, it's all that stuff, right? It's the stuff that I'm interested in. It's basically just curating my feed into only showing me stuff that I want to see because it's either of special interest to me or it's entertaining. It's an entertainment thing for me. It's not necessarily social media.
It's really challenging. I'm as social media person, like PR for both the Garrison as well as the Rebel Legion, or Falcon Base, and PR for this podcast, as well as PR for I run 5 Instagram accounts.
That's crazy, man.
And I don't even I barely use my own. My own personal. I barely post anything anymore. It's weird. I come back, like Facebook pops up and like 10 years ago, this is what you said. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? I said, I'm like, I'm reading what my own words, and I'm like, what the hell was I talking about?
This guy's full of shit.
He's full of shit, and who gives a shit? One of those two things. I'm like, why do I care? I'm talking about the Canucks, which I haven't watched since 2011. And it's just like, why do I care about Bertuzzi anymore? I'm like, this isn't, I don't care about this stuff. But it's hard to avoid a lot of that. And I feel there's a lot of pressure, me as a PR person, like I gotta get these pictures out, I gotta put it on social media, and I don't know how to use this stuff very well. I'm not very good at it. And, but I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy doing the podcast. I want to do more
Well,
shorts.
it's
I
good to
enjoy
showcase
that.
like the fun stuff that all the groups are doing, right? And maybe
Yeah.
it'll entice someone to join.
That, and it has. I've
Yeah.
talked to people where they said, "Oh my god, I watched your video and it got me interested." And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's all I want. And I do enjoy doing the rookie stuff, but I still, at the same time, there's that catch 22. I actually have a jersey with that on the back, catch 22. It's just like, I really like doing these videos, and I really like posting up on YouTube, but they don't get the traction that I want it to. And now I feel a bit like crap, and I see other people making videos that are very similar to it, and they're getting a lot more traction. I'm like, okay, so what's wrong with me? What's wrong with the video? What's wrong with the content? What's wrong with what I say? What's wrong with how I look? And then all of a sudden it just steamrolls after that, and I have to step away. And it's social. So going back to what you said about social media, holy cow, it just absorbs you, and it just really screws with your mind. So I worry about our students, our kids.
Yeah. I mean, that's a thing. Like, you're starting to see federal governments around the world starting to ban social media until a certain age.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I am all for.
I'm all for.
I'm not a parent. I don't have any kids. And I'm all for it. Like, in myself, I saw an almost immediate change for the better as soon as I jumped off social media.
I should try to do a little bit more of that. It's really hard, as I said, because of the podcast, but I've got to find ways to put certain blinders on. I think that's the challenge, because I find myself there's a lot of YouTube videos I really enjoy watching. I love discovering things. I love learning more about myself.
It's all about curating your feed, right?
Yeah.
And really being ruthless about just like cutting stuff and just, because it's social media seems really geared towards, in some cases, like depending on what site you're on, steering your opinions a certain way, and it's showing you stuff that you didn't ask for.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of scary, and just honestly just another reason to get the hell off there in my mind. But yeah.
How do you avoid the echo chamber, though? I mean, it's like you do go on things, and I'm assuming you want to keep up to date with the news.
I use you know what? Not really. News is pretty depressing.
Yeah.
And I don't seek out a lot of just like world news and that kind of stuff. I still get it, but you know, the main, I'm obviously on YouTube, and I'm on Instagram, but both of those, I don't know if it helps or not at the end of the day, but I'm still, if there's even something remotely kind of stepping away from the things that I have asked to see based on what I follow, what channels I subscribe to, I interact with the platform like, I'm not interested in this. Don't show me stuff from this channel. I'm not interested in this post. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And it seems to help.
How successful is that? Because I've said not interested, and it pops up again like a day
YouTube
later.
is horrible for constantly like trying to feed you new stuff that's outside your current set of interests.
Yeah, Facebook's even worse.
Oh God, yeah, and like I do not interact with Facebook whatsoever. Like, I use Messenger to keep in touch with people, and that's it. Like, I do not go on Facebook because that place it's been a cesspool for a long time, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's a real challenge to end.
It is. It's extremely challenging. Like, that's why, like, if you can get off social media, do it. But otherwise, if you're not going to, just be careful and really just like ruthlessly curate the kinds of things that you follow and what's being presented to you.
So how often do you get to Ghostbuster up then? Like a month or like a year or so? Because going out to these events is the ultimate game changer.
Absolutely.
It brings us when you leave your house and do these events and help and team up with your buddies and stuff.
I mean, so there's I see it two ways, kind of like the local, like our chapter of the Ghostbusters franchise, the Ghostbusters BC isn't super active. So we might see 3 or 4 events a year, and I can't make it to every single one. Like we just had one where you were out at an event and you saw them.
Oh God, yeah, he almost heat stroke that day.
That and that I wasn't able to make it out to. So yeah, a couple times a year. But then we have our own little group that it's how it all kind of started. It was just our own kind of little friend group. Mm-hmm. I just started telling people, as we're out at like 501st functions and whatnot, like I think I'm going to build a Ghostbuster costume.
Yeah.
It looks like fun. I'm just, it's not for anything. I just want one. And I think it'd be fun to kind of piece together. And then that just kind of snowballed.
It snowballed big time. You not only did you get involved, Ree got involved, I got somewhat involved, Aaron, Hosenose, Ryan. I think Dan wants to get involved more now.
And there's more, right? There's every time I talk to someone new about like the Ghostbuster costuming that's already a part of the costuming groups, they're like, oh, can I do that? I'm like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like if you want to join us, be my guest.
This is another thing, like for our generation, we would have never dressed up like this in high school. No. I really admire, like I've said this in the past, when I went to my first con, my fan con, and I saw all the kids dressing up in anime and all sort of stuff, and I heard the adults making fun of all the furries or whatever, and it's just like, dude, these kids are enjoying their fucking life right now. Yeah. They're dressing up. Yeah, they're not. As long as
you're not hurting anybody.
Yes,
you're not shaming anybody else. You're just, you're out with your tribe, and you're having fun, and you're not hurting anybody. Yeah,
some of them are socially awkward, but with their friends, they connect. And they're finding and they're learning how to navigate friendships, and they're learning how to navigate group.
When you're building those connections and those kind of just like the support group, really, right?
When I was a teenager, I enjoyed still playing with. I still enjoyed Star Wars. I enjoyed playing with my little brother and with toys and stuff. But I had to hide all that. I still remember sitting on a bus buying some superpower action figures. My mom and me went down to the bay downtown. I found superpowers. I was in grade 8, grade 9, and I found superpowers. I'm like, I freaking loved comic books, and I was like, I bought these action figures. And then a friend from high school just happened to be on the same bus with her mom, and I'm hiding I'm not showing these to nobody. Yeah. And it's just like, and my family were like, aren't you a little old for this? I'm like, but I still kind of like collecting it. I still like, I didn't play with it as much, but I did like collecting it. And I like,
it makes you happy, right? And like collecting is such a huge thing now.
But man, if my friends or anybody at high school found out, it was like, no, you are now going to be scarred for life. Nowadays,
there's that hard cutoff, right? When you're in high school of like, this is the age you stop trick-or-treating at Halloween.
Yeah.
This is the age that you stop liking Star Wars.
Yeah. This is time to grow up. Yeah. But to grow up to what? To how? Yeah. What do grow-ups like? Well, like taxes, like beer, cigarettes, and sports.
It's sports, right?
And barbecuing.
And like, that's the thing. If you like sports and you hang out with a bunch of friends and watch sports or your favorite teams together, that's awesome too. That's your tribe.
Yep.
Like it's whatever you're interested in.
And that's the funniest thing. People dressing up like painting their chest to go out to a
like
Lions
just wearing a jersey or something, right?
That's friggin' cosplay. That is cosplay.
It's essentially
acceptable cosplay back in the day.
Sports is just that much more socially acceptable all the way through.
You're just dressing up as Wayne Gretzky.
And again, not that there's anything wrong with it.
No, also, nothing wrong. But those are the people that would be kind of like, at least where I came from, those are the people that were like, "Oh, dude, you got to grow up." Just like do something better with your life. And it's just like
what is growing up? Is it getting boring? Not liking the things you like anymore?
So I really appreciate like the millennial generation, or even now, like you get Gen Alpha and Gen Y, or I can't keep track of them anymore. But it's just like, I do appreciate the fact that they're letting their geek flag fly.
Yes,
and they do. Yeah, they're probably struggling with other things, obviously, but it's just like,
everybody does.
It inspired me to just like, you know what? Who cares? I'm past 50 now, and I'm like, I got a freaking high school reunion coming up, which I'm kind of hesitant to go to, but I'm going to go there. And when somebody asks me what I do, I will mention the 501st. And some people like, I dress up like a stormtrooper. That's cool.
Yeah.
Or really? And I'm like, now I know who to talk to. Yeah, I'm not going to waste any more time with you.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want to be honest about who you are, right?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly it. You find those people that are to you worth associating with.
Yeah.
And then you can be yourself. You can talk about your interest honestly. And you don't have to hide or worry about being judged or anything like that.
The older I get, the less of a fuck I give.
Hell yeah.
And it's actually pretty.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I like about getting older.
Now, that being said, we know those old people that don't give a fuck, and they're saying some stuff that you don't want to be hearing, but at the same time, it's just like...
Again, like I said, as long as what you're doing isn't hurting anybody, you're not being discriminatory or anything like that.
It's hard to teach that to kids nowadays because they're, just like every teenager, the peer pressure of what others think.
Oh,
and when you get older, it's like, what was I doing?
Yep.
Well, this is preventing me from actually enjoying something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like,
that's dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about. I think we're kind of lucky too, in that Star Wars and Ghostbusters, kind of reeling it back in a little bit, are these huge franchises that are still popular across generations. It's not like a one and done generation wise. Like you go to a new Star Wars movie or Ghostbusters movie and you have 50-year-olds and then you have 5-year-olds and everything in between, and everybody's excited for it. And that's such a cool thing. Like I love being at a convention, either as a Star Wars character or in my Ghostbusters costume, and talking with anyone who's maybe they're wearing a shirt or they're like, as you do the costuming thing, the longer you do it, you can see on people's faces and in their eyes the way they look at you and the way they kind of examine your costume, that they're interested.
Yeah.
And they're kind of, then you kind of feel out like whether they're comfortable being approached. But like, I love talking with strangers at cons about the costuming and the fandoms and things like that. Dude, I love cons so much for that. That's my favorite part.
I love being in the booth on the con, so I can connect with those people. I don't like wandering around in the booth or wandering around in the con itself. There's some really cool things to see, but I do love, I'm more the fan of just raising the money, because my social battery winds down quite quick with that many people, that much stimuli. But there is something about
it gives you a bit of an extra purpose to being at a con too, right? Like, not that I'm saying you need that in order to go to a con for anybody.
It's whatever. Like cons are there for different reasons. So
cons are interesting. I feel like if you can go in costume, it's such a fun experience. Just having that instant connection with someone who shares interests with you.
I like, the best thing for me about cons is raising the money, goofing around in the Blaster Trooper booth, and hanging out with friends. And that's pretty much
100%.
It. It's connecting with the tribe again, and going out for dinner and just talking.
It's so helpful.
Oh God, yeah. Like, love going to Victoria and just doing like a cherry bomb, which is like a small event, but there's Hose Nose, there's Aaron, there's the island people. It's every time I go to the island, man, it's just like finding my chi. It's just calming me. So, but it's just getting away from things, and so basically trying to find those moments, those people that can that ground you and center you, and not have that heart attack at the age of 40 or whatever. So
like I said, like the friends and the social groups are important. Obviously, to kind of start wrapping things up, like nothing is going to replace like a professional mental health practitioner, but at least they're good for starting that process and kind of having a bit of a sanity check.
Do you remember hearing your parents talk about shrinks?
Always
talking about a shrink. If they saw a shrink,
the head shrinker. Well, yeah, the shrink is like a derogatory term, right?
Yeah, total derogatory term.
Yeah.
Man, we should have had some more counselors and more chats. I mean, not every counselor is going to be your match, and I've seen a number of counselors in the past. Certain counselors were really good, and certain ones I would never suggest to anybody else. But you do have to find that person that connects with you. It is a bit of a challenge, and for some people, they may see it as a waste of time. But you do need to find that right person. So be patient with the process. But
it does take a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance, and especially when it comes to like talking about your mental health and seeking help. That takes a bit of bravery.
You're gonna have to be honest right off the bat.
Open up. Yeah. It's definitely a brave thing to do, for sure.
You don't go into a doctor with a sore arm and then complain about your leg. You need to go, and so when you go to a counselor, you need to tell them what's going on, and it is a challenge for a lot of people. But it is, you have to, and to find that right person to feel safe is one thing, but you also have to be honest with yourself as well. So
absolutely,
what's the purpose? Why are you here? What do you want?
And that's hard.
Tired of feeling like shit? Say it that way. So
but yeah, this actually went a lot longer than I thought it would, but it was really good chat.
Oh, good.
I expected this to be like a 10 or 15 minute thing.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I just kind of threw the topic out there and wanted to cover it a bit. But yeah, this was a really good chat. I hope if anybody's listening or watching, that it helps at all. Like I said, everybody's going through something. Hopefully you have people that you trust, that you can talk to. Like I said, use your benefits at work. And
reduce the social
be aware.
media.
Reduce social media. That's been my catchphrase for years now. But yeah,
find a hobby. Like
it's okay to get help. Yeah, seek out your tribe. Those social groups, just the common interest things, and hug your friends and be kind.
All right.
With that said, I think that's a good place to wrap it up for this episode of Ready to Believe. A little bit offbeat, not a ton of Ghostbusters talk, but definitely some relevant stuff in there. So sorry if this is, I didn't necessarily mean it to be any kind of bait and switch or anything like that, but I feel like it is an important topic.
We're dealing with our personal ghosts. How's that? Does that work?
I like it. That's awesome.
I tried.
I wish I had thought of that. Anyways, until next time, I'm Jamie Pale Rider.
Rob Williams.
And we're ready
to believe you.